Good evening and welcome to episode 24 of Podcast for Dads. I am Jay, aka HinduDad. We've got Barv over to my left, your right, whichever it is. And over here joining us today, that corner, whichever, but it's Kunal Chudasama. Welcome to the show, Kunal. How are you?
Yeah, all good. I was expecting Bav to introduce me.
Jay took it away from me, bro.
I got a bit confused there what was going on, but no,
do you know what?
Good.
Jay takes it away from me every week. Like I'm like,
okay. Hold tight. I'm saying there's a second guest this show, so your duties aren't completely foregone.
Yeah, all right, cool. We'll get to that when we. You have full control, right, of when people are coming in and out. So we have to go by that, right? You have to give me this admin control, bro. Admin control. I need the admin, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got enough patience to teach you how to use it.
I'm a fast learner. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. So, boys, how have your week been? What's the new?
Yeah, mine's been okay. Work, spending time with the little one as much as possible. Last weekend just gone, sister's wedding as well, so that was all good down in Hemel. So yeah, can't complain. Just a nice 300-mile round trip back to Leicester. But yeah,
mate, it was a lovely ceremony, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I always forget you were there as well.
Yeah, yes. Man. The quick flying visit from the outside, set up and go. But no, do you know what? I actually quite like this, like small, intimate, like civils and things like that, man. It means that the people that actually want to see and can get to see and hear what they want to witness. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a bit of a fan.
But how did you guys find that? Because obviously I ain't done no wedding during this whole COVID time, right? So how does it feel? Obviously we're used to these big, massive Indian weddings of like 3, 4, 5, 600 people. How did it feel to have, what was it, 15 or 30? What's the limit at the moment?
So we only had I think it was about 12 of us, 13 of us, if I'm not mistaken. But do you know what? It was nice. Like Jay just said, it's just intimate. It's very relaxed for everyone.
Which means the parents can relax as well, because they're not worried about all the guests and all the other bits and pieces that you've got to tie off on the day, right? So at the moment, like the civils, you're only allowed 15 people to any event like that. So they were very strict on the numbers, which is why I say I literally like set the cameras up and then legged it outside. Do you know what I mean? Let them crack on and caught a glimpse as they came out. So
yeah, hopefully
I got it all in sync and everything was in focus. Otherwise, the first person that's going to rip me a new one is Kev. But is what it is.
I take it you haven't checked the footage then yet.
No, he's not.
No, I left that to Kev, bro. I'm not touching the edits. I'm happy to go and shoot, but I'm not a big fan of wedding edits, man. Like, it takes too long.
No, it is. But it's weird, man, because 15 people is not, especially for Indians, is not heard of.
Do you know what? I suppose it is different for Kunal's perspective as it is from mine. Like, obviously, mine is as a supplier. Kunal's perspective is there as a guest, right? So he's there as a witness and to enjoy the ceremony. Whereas, as our point of view, it just means that there's less people getting in our way. Do you know what I mean? So swings and roundabouts.
I think it was much nicer because obviously we wrapped up and there wasn't this whole thing of feeding 400 people or anything, and the bride and groom having to follow the rituals of eating last or the family eating last. It was nice just to go away and head off to a restaurant and just enjoy the meal and just spend time as two families uniting, to be fair.
And not having to spend 2 hours taking pictures as well.
Well, we took about, I think, 45 minutes. We took about 45 minutes.
But they're pictures that will make the album, right? Not
don't forget that was only the civil, right? So you've still got the Indian ceremony to come along and things like that. But,
that's going to be interesting. Like having an Indian wedding that small, like civil, okay, you might get a few that people have still managed to get those in, but Indian wedding to be that small is
well, their plan is to have it just after all of the restrictions are eased in the back end of June. So It could be one of the very early blowouts.
Again, who knows if we're going to be in a position to be able to have the people that we need, at that point, whether it's all going to be restricted, lifted up, or it's all up in the air, man.
It's a difficult one. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one for both of them. They didn't this date was always pre-planned. It was already in the diary. And that's why it's kind of funny and kind of nice that when people are asking, going, "Oh, did you plan it just after the 21st?" It's like, no, this has been planned since back as far as I can remember now. I think as far back as August, maybe even before Hemma's birthday. I remember Kevin coming down to see it. I remember us going to see it in the early part of the summer. So, it was planned a long time ago. Just happens to be when the date falls, to be fair.
Good time. Yeah, hopefully they can, man. At the end of the day, people having weddings and stuff is something where they want, their nearest and dearest there. So I hope you can have, the people that they want at the ceremony and people get to be there a part of it. Because I think that's the hardest part of it all. Like, Jay, when you got married, you probably had a fair few people at your wedding.
Yeah, don't remind my wife, but it was about 500 people. Still a sore subject.
But it happens, man. It's like I said, it's Indian weddings, right? 99% of the time, your average numbers, nowadays it's going down a bit, but your average numbers are easy 400 or 500 people for the Indian wedding.
But you think about it, Bob, to put it into context, right? The amount that you have to spend on a wedding now for that, 3-4 days worth of festivities and things like that. Fair enough, it's an experience and it's one that you want to fulfill. But the fact is, there's two sides to look at that coin at the moment, because the amount that you save by just doing it as immediate family, or if you're stuck within the restriction at 15 people, that means that you've basically got a deposit on a house that you've not spent.
That's the difference. But going forward, it's going to be interesting to see, because I've seen a few different variants where people have done different ways of the wedding and live feeds and all the rest of it. Who knows if that going forward could be the thing.
I think live feeds will start to become the norm, man. Really and truly, we've seen a couple of different companies that have invested in that technology. We've been talking about doing it ourselves as well, and it's one of those things, isn't it?
No, it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be good to see over the next kind of couple of years how that all plans out. But enough of weddings. Mate, honestly, man, once your wedding's done and all the rest, you're like, all right, cool. Now you can go and enjoy everyone else's. But when you do your own, it's just way too much.
Hopefully that's better for you, Kev. Sorry, I've just been adapting my focus because one of our viewers has mentioned in the comments that I'm slightly off.
He's not happy with that. Tell us a bit about yourself. Kunal, what do you do? Family?
Yeah, so what do? I work for Seven Trade Water, which is a utility company in Leicester. We look after all the water mains and so forth. So I work more in the team that deals with our burst mains or any kind of leaking water or any kind of customer complaints. They tend to come through our team, and we make sure we basically put the job out and make sure it gets assigned to a team. Speaking to various councils within the areas of where we need to actually do the works. In terms of family, so at the moment, there's obviously living with mum and dad, my sister, who's obviously, like Jay said, is getting married. We'll officially have a send-off in June.
To be fair, she's already married, bro.
Technically, yeah. She spends most of her time there.
No, but after Saturday now, she is legally married.
Yeah, legally she's married, but we're with her. We've still got her, it's ramping that up. So looking forward to that enjoyment. And obviously I've got my wonderful wife, Sona, and the princess of the house, the genius of the house, the little madam of the house, whatever you want to call her, you can throw at her. She is, and it's Sia. She's a gem. A true gem. I know every dad should be proud of their child, but this one surprises us. Me and Sona both, and mum and dad and my sister every single day.
It's amazing how quickly they pick up on things as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, mate, like today, so she's going through potty training, so it has been slightly delayed. So she does the wheeze in the toilet, fine. Her number twos, however, she doesn't tend to do them. She needs a nappy pants. Fine. But not an issue. We're not going to push her. She's going to do it in her own time. But at nursery, she seems to do it at nursery. So I've gone fine. So I've treated her today going, you can have a lollipop. Her response to me not after having the lollipop. Driving back home, she goes, "Daddy," I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Why did you give me this lollipop? Did you realise the doctor said it's really bad for me?" And I've gone, "Sorry." She's like, "Yeah, I can't have any more treats after today." And I was like, "Okay, so can I have the lollipop back?" "No, no, Daddy, it's fine. I'll have this one. But you know what? From tomorrow, I won't have any more treats." I was like, "Okay, no problem."
Quality.
So I said, "Yeah, pure quality." And then I go, "I'll tell Daddy not to give you any treats tomorrow." And the response was, "No, no, tomorrow I can have one from Daddy. It's not you giving it to me." Do you know what I mean?
Making sure he gets that fix.
How do I respond back to that? She's, how old is she now? 3.5 years old. She, like I said, she's just too sharp for me.
One step ahead already.
She already is. Like, I bought a bubble bottle, of the bubble fluid, and she goes, because Mum put it away, and she goes to my mum, she goes, "Daddy," and we were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "What's she on about?" And she was like, "I want that yellow bubble," and we were like, "What are you talking about, yellow bubble?" And obviously it's freezing, and I went, "Oh, that." So I had to make up some lame excuse on the spot that is actually not in the house. I've actually gone and put it away somewhere else because the weather's so bad that I'm gonna bring it back on the weekend when the sun's back out. But they're just the random excuses we've got to. Yeah, look, it's fun, it's enjoyable. You know,
Has
she's
she ever
always
called
gonna
you
be.
out?
Yeah, she'll call everyone out in the household. She's not bothered. I think, if I'm being honest, I think my dad gets the most stick. Maybe me second. um, I think with Hema, sorry, being my sister, I think she's the only one that doesn't get as much stick. I think she gets the least stick. Don't know why, but she does. So yeah, look,
They sharing it.
it is, and I think she does get spoiled, especially from me more than from maybe my wife. But I mean, we're both spoilers. At the end of the day, she is a rainbow child, so she was always going to be, she was always going to get everything from the two of us. But she spoiled it massively from both sets of parents because she's the only grandchild. So it is what it is. She gets spoiled rotten, and obviously she gets spoiled by her aunt, Faye. And, me and him have a clear agreement, which is fine. You could spoil her as much as you want, do whatever you want, no questions asked. But when it comes to my turn, I'll spoil your kids rotten. End of story. So, yeah.
Works both ways, man. Like, I know Reshma's got the same with her brother as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been very fortunate that we've been gifted a lot of the things that their kids have had, which means that we've made a massive saving in that. And, whatever opportunity Reshma gets, she always likes to give back to her nephews as well. And she always has done from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So it definitely works both ways in that relationship side. I want to ask you as well. So obviously when you found out you guys were expecting in the first place, what was that like for you as being told that news?
The first time around, overjoyed, happy. I think for me, I think I kind of always wanted a boy, a lad. To be fair, just like I want to go and watch football games with, or something like that. I think that's what I always imagined.
Well, now that you've mentioned football games, you have to say who you support in it.
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, mate.
I'm glad there's another one to join the show. I've had enough of these United fans every week, man.
Yeah, Jay, if you ask Sia when you're down for the wedding, as long as you guys aren't massively busy, ask her who she supports, she'll tell you Liverpool. Ask her what her favourite colour is and she'll tell you red.
Red. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
That
is what I like to hear.
She's a Liverpool fan. Her first kit was a Liverpool kit. Oh,
you just made bars all day, you know that.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, and I tend to go, and I like going Anfield. So I was there for that Dortmund game, which I thought, wow, this ain't gonna happen again. And I was back there for Barca as well. So my two awesome moments at Anfield were there. Well, for the Barcelona game, I was in the Kop. Yeah, so that was bouncing. But yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the first time round, obviously we had a miscarriage.
Right. Okay.
It was extremely difficult period for both of us, to be fair. Not just one of us, but I think I tried to go go into a shell of being a typical bloke and not talking about it or anything, and not realizing how it actually impacts you or how much actually affects you.
Definitely.
I remember there being an incident, and my nephew came over. I think it was the first time I met him or second time I met him. Don't get me wrong, he was only 6 months old, maybe 7 months old. This was a week after we found out about the miscarriage, and I just couldn't play with him. I just couldn't attach to him. I couldn't do anything. It was like, and I basically
said, almost distraught.
We were that distraught, and I said,
Yeah.
"Son, I go, let's go." I said, I can't be going through these motions. It was just too many emotions going all over the place. Yeah, too soon. But then obviously a week after that, it was Christmas, and I had my nephews round. That was absolutely fine because the whole family was there. So the whole
different
family
scenario, and different
totally different scenarios, and that was absolutely fine. I could play with my nephews, have a laugh with them, have a joke with them, so it's fine. But I think people should talk about it more. Shouldn't be such a
grief.
and there shouldn't be such a stigma around it. But I think it happens more with blokes. Blokes don't really talk about it. But having said that, I know a lot of women don't like talking about it, and I don't know why. Whether they see it as a phase of let's move on, or it's really difficult. I mean, I sat next to a girl who went through the same motions, and I'm there trying to talk to her, and she just went. I said, "I'm here to talk if you'd like to. I've been through the same emotions. You've obviously done it as a mother, and I've done it as a father. Two different things. But you still go through the same emotions. You still go through the same journey. But
this is it.
Yeah, exactly, massively. I think I was typically a person who's more shut out, so I rather just dwell on it and just deal with it myself. And do you know what? In hindsight, reflecting back on it, maybe not the best way I dealt with it. Subsequently,
but you learn, innit? Like you learn from consequence and situation, right? So
I tell you what my biggest turning point was. Towards the end of last year, I decided to get some counselling. And do you know what? It was the best thing I ever did. Absolutely fantastic. I had 4 sessions of counselling, talking about inner feelings, deep thoughts, where you're hurting, and just trying to release. And do you know what? I'd recommend it to everyone that's there today. Listen to it. Do you know, if you've lost someone, or if you've, just anything in life, talk about it to people. If you haven't got a confidant, or you don't feel like speaking to your inner circle because you just want to be that strong or brave person who just wants to crack on with it, trust me, there's so much more you go through. So jump on.
Do you know what? I'm really glad that you've made that point as well. Obviously for me, like I'm thinking about it in slightly different context as well, but regardless, it still applies. And I've been through counselling myself in the past as well, at a point in life where I was, finding difficulties and struggles. One of the things that I do want people to understand as well is that when you go and seek counselling, like they're not there to grill you, they're not there to like question you and give you answers. They're there to listen to you, give you a room of confidence where you can explore your own thoughts and navigate through what it is that you could be suppressing.
Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, I think for me it was more. I think I just had inner anger, which just needed to be released, and that's why I went to go and see him. The bloke was absolutely brilliant. I remember one of the ones I was just crying. He just left me to it, and we did it all over Zoom, and the impact that had. And like I said, I recommend it to anyone. It can be for anything. There's just so many things and so many emotions we do not realize we go through.
Yep.
We even touched on something, a death, which was back when I was 16. I mean, how much do we really know about death? How much do we really know how much it impacts you? Yep. But it was nice to talk about it because in hindsight, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I deal with it now, but I remember we lost my grandma one day. Sorry, we lost my uncle one day, and then we lost my grandma 3 days later.
Wow.
Close to really to both of them. Exactly. So my grandma was my mum's mum, and my uncle was my dad's eldest brother, and both rocks and foundations of both sides of the family, and suddenly they've gone. Boom.
Yep.
But I don't think realize the impact of it until you further go down the line. So yeah, I think that's what people need to realize. It's good to talk about counseling as well, because you could have been 10 years old and you may have lost your grandfather, but you don't realize the impact of that because, I mean, especially with us guys, you know, the grandparents have such a tight bond with their grandchild. And if that grandchild's got to about 10 and suddenly that person's missing, they've just carried on with life, but don't realize there might have been an impact on their life at 10 years old. But how is a 10-year-old going to, well,
Process
actually
that.
wrong. I was about to say, how's a 10-year-old going to say that? But you know what?
Yeah.
10-year-olds do have emotion. Every child has an emotion, just don't know how to reveal it.
And talking about difficult subjects, obviously this week is Deaf Awareness Week as well. And I think us having coincided on this date has fallen right in the middle of it on purpose. But essentially another difficult subject, and the title of this show is what is Microtia? And, you know, Kunal, you've come on to talk about the subject in itself, but why don't you talk to us about how this story or how your story unfolded?
It's not a difficult subject. It's a subject I love talking about. It's a subject I'm proud about. And yeah, Sia has something called Microtia. So people and viewers, whoever's on or if you watch it back, Microtia is so it's when a child is so from birth, a child is born with either one fully developed ear. Sometimes some children have no developed ears and only have earlobe. So, for instance, Sia has left-sided Microtia, so she only has an earlobe on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you know what? So the experience, wow. Put it in a nutshell. Look. Initially, when we found out is when, me and Sona were just going through our emotion. We just wanted our child at the time, especially especially with the first one when we lost it due to a miscarriage. When Sia was born, as I say, you know, we were waiting for her to cry to come to sense, and then just anything basically. And I think that took a surreal 3-4 minutes. Then obviously they started cleaning her or whatever, and then the first thing I remember them saying to us was, "Did you know your daughter's only got one ear?" And it was like, "I'm sorry, like, what are you talking about? What is this?" You know, no idea, no clue. And it's like, okay, I'm done. So for me, and I'm going to talk about it from my point of view, is I think I was taken aback for a second, like, what are you guys talking about? How's this not? I've not even asking. I'm just basically going through these emotions in my head, and I'm there, just being so happy that this little girl's come onto our planet. Considering I was someone who said I would love a son, but do you know what? Daughters are the best. No matter what anyone says, girls are the best. So you know, we couldn't even hold Sia initially. Sia was going to go through. They were going to try and do some tests on Sia, and they were going back and forth. And she was a forceps child, so Sona had tears as well. So she was losing vast amount of blood, and they're suddenly telling me, "By the way, we need to take your wife into ICU." And I'm there going, "I'm sorry, what is going on here?" You know,
it's a lot to take on board and digest in that moment, isn't it?
Yeah, as a not just as a dad, but also as a husband, it was like, whoa, what is going on here? You know, can someone explain to me? You know, in the space of 10 minutes, and is then trying to go, I need and I just needed some release. And you know, as bad as it sounds, I just had to kind of go, right, you both okay for now? I just need a break. Like, I'm taking it too much. I just needed to think what was going on in that short space of time. I remember the first person I rang was my mum. I think for me, mum is problem solver. So you ring mum, what's the score here? Like, kind of thing. So basically trying to explain to my mum, so she has born, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm ringing Sona's parents and saying, by the way, she's born now, and X, Y, and Z's happened. By the way, telling my mum X, Y, and Z, and he was like, right, end of, let me get back in there. And then instead of whizzing Sona away, they hadn't, and they actually let us hold Sia, which was the most magical moment ever. I can't ever forget that 20 minutes, half an hour that we actually had with her before Sona got whizzed away. But I had another magical moment straight after that. So Sona will actually there is actually another funny story behind this, and Sona would still remember it like it was tomorrow morning. So what I did was Sona Sona went into labour at 2:00 in the morning on the Friday. I remember this. We got back home at 5. I rang work. I said, look, I'm not going to be able to come in. Wife's gone into labour. We've got to go back into hospital.
Yep.
Went back into hospital about 5:00-ish. I think 4:30, 5:00. And then they induced her at 6. So me being me, typical of me, I was like, so I've got nothing. So I'm like, so I've got nothing to do here. And they were like, no. You're best off just going home and coming back. I was like, okay. So I said, what time shall I come back? They were like, 12:00. So actually, instead of going home, I actually went out for a curry.
I was going to say, did you go to the pub?
Yeah, I actually did. I went to Martin Inn. So
no.
I was in Paddy's Martin Inn.
You joker.
Because my dad's normally out on a Friday, so with his boys. So I was trying to think who's going to be out right now, and I was like, my dad. And I ring him. So we first
chicken.
No. So I went Indian Queen first, and he's like, pick me up from here. I'm like, okay. Then they're all still drinking, and I was like, look, this wasn't the intention. Are you guys eating here? Because if not, I'll just go home. They're like, no, we'll go Paddy's. So then they convinced me to go Paddy's. So I went Paddy's, and then I went home. I just couldn't sleep. I basically had a shower and everything. Then I got a phone call going, right, your baby's coming anytime soon. It's due. So this gets even more funnier, right? So obviously baby's due. I get there, fine. So come about 4:30, 5:00. Sona is about 3 centimeters dilated. So I went, well, okay, cool. So I said to the nurse, I go, so I'm shattered because I've still not slept. I was meant to get some sleep. I get it. The women should get their sleep as well, and they've not rested, blah, blah, blah. All of that, I get it, right? So I said 3 centimeters. I go, so what time do you reckon this little one's going to be born? She turned around to me and goes, not till about 2:00, I don't think. And I was like, okay. So I said, does another midwife come? She goes, yeah. So then what I ended up doing, this is going to sound so daft. I actually rang my mum to say, can you make me some breakfast? So I left the hospital, started driving all the way to, I was born at General, so we were at General Hospital. Mum and Dad live in Beaumont Leys. So those of you that know Leicester will know. So I was driving down, got to Abbey Park. She rings me again. By the way, your wife is now 9 centimeters dilated. So I've left, I've quickly swerved around, gone all the way back, and Sia was born about 6:30. But yeah, I've did some insane things the night before, on the day, whatever, And I actually got, do you know what I actually did? My Liverpool kit was ready to wear for the day. I was like, when she's born, I'm wearing my Liverpool kit. I didn't care. And Sona, who's my wife, Sona always knew that she was going to be, every child that we had was going to be a Liverpool fan. So CS had 2 kits, 2 baby grows. One was a Liverpool one, and the other one was an Arsenal one, because Sona's an Arsenal fan.
Ooh.
And it's only because I felt sorry for Sona at the time, and everything she went through, I was like, okay, she can have an Arsenal one, but yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, so like I said, my most magical moment was Sona was in surgery, to be fair, because it was just me and Sia. I had no idea what to do.
I can completely relate to that situation.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it was, she's only, 2 hours old. She was crying. She was, it's as though she wanted something. And I was like, does she need feeding? What needs to happen here? And I'm asking the nurse, going, by the way, I think my child's hungry. Like, can you help me? And they're like, your wife should be out soon. I was like, mate, it's been like half an hour. Like, not in a bit. It's already gone half an hour. Still not clocking on. And I remember, and again, I've rang my mum and I had a very nice conversation with her. And it's one where I fell into tears, and I remember it really well. I don't think I've even told Sona, and I know Sona's watching it right now. And I said to my mum, I said, there's this beautiful girl. I go, what do I do? Like, Sona's not here. Like, is there anything I can do to help her? Or, Mum, like, you know, what is it you do? And my mum's like, have you spoken? Yeah, my mum's like, you know, my mum in typical Gujarat, have you spoken to the nurses? Yes, I have, Mum. They said they can't help me. And my mum just typically, you know, sorry, I know it's PC. My mum just goes, Ganda vera. You look kind of kabernati ganda cha badai. Ajkal nurses. And I just went, I don't even know how to respond back to my mum. I'm there crying because I don't know what I'm emotional because I've got this wonderful person in my life and just going through everything. But yeah, you know, that I think Sona was in surgery for about an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah, so Sia was
it's
just
very daunting as well. That must have been like, you know, that in itself must have been such a weight on your shoulders, not knowing what's going on. She's been in there for an hour and a half. Do you know what I mean?
I tell you what, it was an emotional. Yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster because, it just.
You're completely unprepared, right? Because it's nothing in your foresight that would have predicted that outcome.
No, it wouldn't have. And obviously, I think then suddenly I started. I think the first half, I was see as my priority. I need to kind of sort her out. You know, the power of technology. I'm WhatsApping everyone in the groups going, oh yeah, here's a picture of her. Look, by the way, born at this time. We still hadn't given her a name. Well, we knew what her name was going to be to start with. So her full name's actually Sia Burry. So Burry being angel, meaning reminding of us of our rainbow, of our child, first one that would have been. So yeah, do you know what? It was insane. And I think the second half was just that motion of, right, what's happening with Sona? And I'm asking them questions like, and it's not like I could just walk away and leave this child. I remember at one stage I did actually start walking out the unit and I was like, oh sugar, I can't leave this baby. And I went back. And it was crazy. You know, it's things you do. You know, look.
In the moment, innit? Before you realise that you've got another...
Yeah, before you realise anything. I think Sona came out after about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe even. It was good to see her, but obviously she was really weak as well. And then I can tell you now, I actually came home and had a good old masala try from my mum. Mum goes, do anything else? I was like, yeah, can you just put it in a flask because I think I need it at the hospital at the rate we're going. But yeah, you know, it's the first time we found out about Microtia. We know all about it, as much as possible about it now. So yeah, you know, what I'm going to say to people is, and this is as a whole, you know, I'll say embrace every moment. Give your child as much empowerment as possible. You know, people might think, what is he talking about? And I was like, you know, I know Tina's going to come on later from the organisation.
She'll be on in just a few moments.
Yeah, and she'll talk about how much she's given her son empowerment and belief. And there's many tools as possible to you know, just go out and express himself into the world. And I'm not going to take Tina's limelight away, but I will now because I've just remembered. But Charlie's been on TV. Tina will correct me, once or twice now. Raising awareness for Microtia as well. So Charlie deserves a lot of credit. And I believe Charlie's about 9 or 10 now. So look, I would say to anyone, embrace everything.
Seen as though you've brought us down to bringing Tina into the show and she's here waiting for us. Do you want to introduce her, mate?
Yeah, I'll leave it to Bav.
Yeah.
Okay, right, Tina, I'll introduce Tina. Yeah.
Good evening, Tina.
Hi.
How are you?
Right, yeah, I'm good, thank you. You all right?
Yeah, we're all good. So just so everyone that isn't aware or anyone that's listening right now, this is Tina Rycroft, who's, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Tina, and you can do one of the founding members of Microtia UK?
Not quite. I didn't quite put them together, but yes, I've helped them develop and get further. Yeah, I'm keeping them together. Yeah.
So Tina, I've spoken to her numerous times about different things, and I did kind of a mini fundraiser for Tina as well, and I'm always willing to help whenever COVID struck. But I know I haven't mentioned it to you guys, but I'm sure Tina will. But Microtia UK were doing various fundraisers around the UK. So there was going to be the West Midlands Safari Park last year. There was going to be so many things, and when COVID hit, it just changed the whole ball game. But there was going to be different parts of different events across the country, and I'm sure there was going to be one in Northern Ireland as well, if I wasn't mistaken.
They were planning on getting together, and everything just got cancelled, and we've still got nothing in the pipeline until we know fully what's going to happen. There's no point, doing anything yet, and just see where we go, see what happens now. But it was just unfortunate that no one could get together and do the usual things that we do.
So before we go too far into the subject, what I'd like to do is, Tina, we can see your little man behind you as well.
I'm just going to message my husband. He's just going to gather them in because they're watching. So that's why they want to be on. Ashley, take them in.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and the family before we go even further into the actual topic and subject.
So I have 4 boys. They're 4, 7, 10 and 12. I have to think about it now. And they keep me busy. So Charlie, as you were saying, Charlie's 10 now, and he's my second eldest, and he was born with Microtia. So that's how I became aware of what Microtia was, because I had no idea prior to that. That I'm aware of, never seen anyone with a Microtia ear, or didn't have a clue. So we live in East Yorkshire, and I'm working for the charity now since 2018, and just busy as usual.
Yep. And I guess one thing that was evident to me when we were speaking prior to going live is that it's not something that can be picked up on a scan. So it's not something that you can even expect or prepare for. So obviously you've both been through an experience where you've been completely overjoyed at the arrival of your newborn, and then you've been told that they've got a hearing impediment. And what was that like for both of you? Obviously Microtia, as you say, both of you have never heard of. Barv and I had never heard of it until Kunal mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. And we're probably more than aware of it. We've probably seen it and come across it. But the fact is, we've not known that, there was something that was quite well known about it. Do you know what I mean? So I guess, Tina, if we start with you, if you want to let us know the initial reaction, I suppose.
Yes, obviously I only had one son at the time, and I was pregnant with Charlie, and back in 2011, feels like a long time ago now. And we had the usual scans. We even had extra scans because he was small, and we had a 4D scan that I'd paid for, gone to one of them. Nothing picked up at all. Everything looked fine. Just, it was, on the small side, but it was £6.7. He wasn't that small. He was all right. And and then as he came, he was born and lifted onto me. And my husband said he remembers the midwives nudging each other as he was crowning, to say, what's that? And but they didn't say anything. So as he came onto my chest, I just looked and I thought, what's that? What's happened to his ear? My mum was there. She thought his ear had been squashed and that it unfold itself or something. Right. And no one could tell us the name of the condition. No one knew. We live in I suppose quite a small area where Microtia is not very well known where we live as well. We're not in the city or anything. So we were allowed eventually. They were a bit unsure whether to let us go home. I fell asleep, to be fair. I had a snooze for an hour. I think it was all the shock and the emotions, and I just sort of switched off and went to sleep, and then woke up and he was still there and still lovely and beautiful, but we still didn't, what did it mean? I had so many questions and no answers, and that was the thing for me that I think it really got to me. And I was young. I think I was 22, so I was a mum to 2 boys, and I just didn't know what. Sorry, if there's any noise, it's my boys at the door. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. So when I got home, I went on Google, which the typical thing maybe to do nowadays, and researched little ears, and found the name of the condition myself. And it was a month later when we actually went for a hearing test that they confirmed that he had Microtia. They gave me a leaflet and told me what it was about. And then from that, we had so many appointments and people prodding and poking and, you know, different things from ENT to audiology to plastics, talking about, you know, you can have a reconstruction, we can correct this and, you know, this sort of thing. And it was a lot to take in, to be honest. It was, I did find the charity eventually and joined their Microtia Mingle support group on Facebook. But I found it hard, to be honest. I'm quite an open and honest person, and I found it hard that first year. I don't feel like I bonded as well as I did my first. All the others after that, I feel like I really struggled I loved him, but I just struggled with the, you know.
It's whether he understood you is what the worry was, right?
Yeah, I didn't know whether he was going to talk properly. Could he hear what I was hearing? You know, was it different? Would he be bullied? Would he have a relationship when he's older? And all these questions, I think, just come flooding. And don't get me wrong, I think some people, you know, they've said they've had their baby and they've accepted it and they get on with it and they're quite okay. But there is a lot of parents out there as well that do struggle with that initial shock of, oh, what's happened to my baby? You know, what's wrong with them? But there's nothing obviously wrong with them. They're lovely, but it is that information overload, you know, when they're born, when you eventually get the information in my case. So yeah, that was my in a nutshell, my experience. But like we're saying, he's fine. He's proved me wrong. All them worries. I wish I could go back and tell myself, don't worry, you know, he'll be absolutely fine. He's a star. So I don't know what I worried about, but I did.
And I guess, like, from a completely novice perspective as well, and for the people watching, like with Microtia, are there different levels of like hearing impediments, and you know what's the variance?
Yeah, so it can impact from a whole missing ear to just having a slightly smaller ear. It can impact both sides, one side, either or. I think it impacts more boys than girls, is the research, and it's about 1 in 6,000 births per year that it affects. So I think it is classed as a rare condition, but I suppose there's more rarer things out there, but people don't tend to notice. I suppose it's your ear. It can be hidden by hair. You know, people don't always notice. So, yeah.
I was going to say 1 in 6,000 is, you know, it's still quite a high number. So for the information not to be there, you know, straight off the cuff and be ready for you straight away, it must be quite difficult to say, you know, well, what's going on here? And them to just say, oh, we don't know nothing, you know, and then a month later you have to, after researching yourself, you get to find out further information, which is just
blows your mind.
It's crazy.
This is it. And now I'm working for the charity, one of my big priorities is always to get our information booklets into different clinics, whether it's hospitals, just Microtia clinics, or schools, you know, to parents, families, and get that out there so they've got that information as quick as possible. We've had people contact me. I had a grandma, she contacted me the same day. She said, you know, she's just given birth and we've researched and it's Microtia, can you help me? So I said, I'll get that sent straight out to you, some information and support. So it's getting better that people can Google nowadays and find us quicker.
This is it.
But, you know, getting that information out there, isn't it? That's the key.
No, it is the key. I think Tina's absolutely right. I think a lot of those things helped us initially at the start, especially in that first week or two period, because unlike where you've had to wait a month, Tina, we had ours all in the first 2 weeks. We were audiologists, ENT, heart for the murmur, literally everything. We were just like, what is going on here? Like, slow down. And in between that, we had a wedding to go to as well. So I think my cousin's wedding was a month later, and it was like, what is going on here? This is insane. And I know you have to travel a bit further as well. So Microtia, like how Tina's just touched on about the ear reconstruction and everything, not every hospital specializes in it. So C is kind of fortunate, but we have to always go Bangham Children's Hospital. I don't know. I think Manchester are starting to do it, aren't they, Tina? Or they have Or so you've got
Yes.
to travel even further than I do. I mean, mine's only 45 minutes down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had to. Our closest, back when he was younger, we were going to Hull Royal all the time, and they even admitted that they've not done many, and I basically didn't really recommend themselves, which wasn't, okay.
At least they were honest.
Yeah, that's at least they didn't just have a try. But yeah, so I think now we'd go to Great Ormond Street and we'd be willing to travel to make sure he gets, if he wants to, obviously he doesn't want to have a reconstruction. So, but if he changes his mind, then we're quite happy to travel and accommodate and make sure he gets the best care for him. Yeah.
So like Tina's touched on, if he wants to, and this is exactly what I was talking about, no matter what your child or what kind of disability or what kind of anything they have. So with Microtia and the ear reconstruction, it's down to the individual child on whether they would like it or not. And I think we've always maintained that we didn't know that's what ultimately what it was until we went to Bengal Children's Hospital. So for me and Tony, it was like, she can always decide what she wants to do from, literally early part of her early months. We were like, we'll do what's right for her, and she can ultimately decide what she wants to do. So children go through motions, speaking to the hospital themselves. It's got nothing to do with the parents. So like Charlie's at the right age now where, from about 9 onwards, they start talking to the children more individually and see if they actually do want it. And
yeah, they have to give consent as well.
They have to give total consent. Us parents have no say, and this is exactly what I mean, is that it's such a great thing and that's why we have to give them that empowerment, those choices, give them all the tools and all the strength in the world to whatever it is that, it ultimately is your decision. Brilliant. Do whatever you need to do. Because, I'm going to be hitting 40 in 2 years time. And for me, it's like, considering current lifespans or whatever it is, let's say if I lived in the 30 or whatever it is, I'm not going to have to live with afterwards. She's going to have to live with it. And, I'm sure Tina's got the same case with Charlie. Like, he's going to have to live with it, right or wrong. He's got to make that decision. And if it was wrong, then he can obviously change it or would do whatever he wants. But it's a choice he's made rather than us as parents. And I know Tina's very much on it like I am with empowerment and giving that, because I'll try and get Tina to send some, or you can ask Tina for some videos that Charlie, like I said, was on the news and something he did as a fundraiser. And do you know what? He's done it off his own back. He's not being pushed by mummy. He's not being pushed by daddy. That's his own drive. And do you know what? He's done that because he has the empowerment, and that's exactly what I'd like Sia to have. I'm not saying there's not an expectation I want Sia to go on the news, but I just want Sia to have that empowerment of, do you know what? You can do.
You want to have the confidence in it. Yeah.
All the confidence in the world. And, I think more Hema enforces it, and I've started enforcing a little bit more, like, no, can't isn't technically a word. It doesn't exist. You can do everything in the world. Do not believe there's nothing you can't do. She goes gymnastics, she goes football. I know Charlie goes to different activities. Like Sia goes to, she goes football, she goes gymnastics, and everyone's like, she's a girl. I was like, who cares? 21st century. I'd love her to go and play football for a team, and she can do. There is nothing wrong, and there's something that, it's funny, Tina said something, you can put your hair down and whatever. I don't know if you've been on my Facebook recently, Tina, but I was speaking to Jat. We were speaking earlier this week, and I said, it's a really funny story because Sia had her hair down for the first time at my sister's wedding. And I said, it feels, even though I love the image I've got on my phone, I love it so much, I know there's something missing, and what's missing is hair magic, and it's hair magic here. It's a piece of her that exists, and it was like, I'm not hiding it. We just wanted her to have her hair down and it just looked pretty, but we love it. She still had a hearing aid on, and fair enough, but it's just little things that you go through is just surreal. But yeah, Tina's gone through it longer than me, and she's done a hell of a lot. She's done a fantastic job for Microtia. I'm sure.
I guess.
Thank you.
Sorry,
when Tina was mostly.
I wanted to ask you guys as well is if there's anyone who's just given birth, or there's parents or new parents that are dealing with a child with Microtia as well. Is there anything that you'd give them as advice and tips?
Pick up the phone to any one of us. Find Microtia Mingle. From my side, find Microtia Mingle, track them down, and speak to any one of them, and they'll all happily talk to you, right? And do you know what it is? Is if you guys, I know it's a closed group, so you wouldn't be able to see everything on there, but if you look through it, it's every single parent is helping another parent, and funny enough, Tina and some of the other ladies from the Mingle committee, or the organisers and everything, they will respond back to the parents as well. If they're not, if they're not the first one to respond, they're not the second, they're definitely the top three. One of them will say, by the way, you need to do X, Y, and Z. I know some of this is any kind of advice, like what hospital to go to. Has your child had like ear reconstruction? Have they had the impact? It can be the most daftest thing in the world, but there is no daft thing in the world. Ask any question.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Exactly. And do you know what? It's answered for you. I think initially we asked a few questions, and they were answered to, and it wasn't just one answer or two or three. It was like reams of parents responding, saying, "Don't worry, do this or do that," and X, Y, and Z. And one of my heartfelt moments in that group was, I remember, I don't know if Tina remembers, that there was a lady, and I still remember this lady who was based in East London or Southeast London or somewhere like that. And she actually put a hat on her child because she didn't know what to do with the ear. And the child had a hat for about good 9 months to a year, and she just didn't know where to reach out. And I'm there going, come on, you've got a gosh there. They're the magicians. What's going on here? And she had no help. But I remember she had about 70 responses after that. Everyone reaching out to her. I remember we reached out. So I would say to anyone, reach out to Microtia UK. And for my behalf, why do I love talking about it? And it's reaching out to more people. And we as parents would love to support other parents. And yeah.
I think that's what you need in that time as well, isn't it? Is to know that you're not alone. And I think even for me and Barth, like one of the reasons why we started working on this platform is the fact that we had such a lack of support during our pregnancies that, we felt we missed out on a lot where we can connect with other people on the same journey or a similar journey. And it mirrors exactly what you guys are saying as well. Like there is literally a support area for people who need advice, information, and guidance, and to show that you're not alone. There's plenty of people there to keep you in mind and to keep you, sane.
Yeah, definitely.
Tina, why don't you? So obviously, after then having explored all these options and coming to find out a lot more about Microtia, what made you join the charity?
Yeah, so years down the line, it was December 2017. Charlie and I were fundraising for the charity off our own backs. So I was contacting any restaurants, play areas, swimming, in my local area, asking for donations. So they give us free family tickets and, stuff like that. And so then we'd raffle them off for, £2 a ticket. And I think we made just over £3,000 in the end just from doing that. I know. And so we were doing that. And then, so while I was quite active on the Mingle page, sort of, sharing things, I saw a job opportunity come up from the trustees because they're volunteers. So they have their own different jobs, lives going on. They have children with Microtia, each one does. And that's how it was formed. But it was getting to a point where obviously the charity's growing and they haven't got the full time to put into the charity. So they needed someone to keep it going. So I thought, why not give it a go? It ticked all the boxes. It obviously interested me because I've got a son with it, and I thought, yeah, I'll go for it and not look back since, to be fair. It's just the best job to help other people and give them that support, and then to get them thank yous. And you've helped me. So even people, worldwide, I've had people from India and all sorts, messaging us for support or just some guidance. And I will reply to every single one and help them as best I can, or share pictures of my son with them. And they're just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you. You've made me feel better. So that's
when you think of a charity, you automatically think, oh, charity, they must be massive and things like that, right?
Yeah.
You'd never imagine that it falls on the weight of 3 volunteers and 1 full-timer.
Yeah, that's it. It is, and we've got some non-executive directors, who are specialists from a range of different fields, and they're there for us to tap into if we want, the latest, information, technology,
Sure.
or just some guidance. If we're updating some, printed copies of things, we'll say, can you look through this? Have we missed anything? And so we have them as a like a backup. But yeah, it's just myself and the trustees that make the decisions with me to keep everything moving forward. And we've grown since I've started, and we've changed a lot since I started. Things have we've still got the same ideas, but things have developed. We've got more resources, we've got more things that children can purchase from the shops, so they feel like they've got something to relate to, or a book to read with their family about similarities and differences, and that sort of thing. So it's lovely that we are just such a small charity. We don't get recognized that much, and sometimes it's hard to apply for things, grants, because all these big charities obviously always get all the piece of the pie, and where they're trying to help us as well. But we're getting there. It's just great to see things keep growing and more people coming to us more quicker than before.
And so obviously one thing that Kunal mentioned earlier was the fact that you guys hold fundraisers and charity events and things like that. So what sort of thing have you done in the past?
Yeah, so initially I was sort of brought in to do fundraising, a bit of admin, and apply for grants to support the charity. Now I do like a bit of everything. I've got fingers in pies everywhere. So, but yeah, the fundraisers, that ranges from a tea party to doing Tough Mudder or skydiving, which I've done for the charity. I've skydived, so it does a range of things. So we supply free places to people, and we give them a fundraising vest, and then they just fundraise. So it's not costing them anything, and they're just helping us to raise awareness and some funds for the charity. So they're great, and the events are lovely just to get people together, whether it's the adults with Microtia, the teenagers, the children, the newborns, which are lovely and scrummy when you see them turn up, and it's lovely to get everyone together. And we have a big event every year in London, usually in June, which obviously COVID, it's been cancelled. But yeah, every June, get people together, and we get a range of professionals to come in from different experts. So everyone comes in, then we have activities. Everything's free as well. So it's all free for the families, and they can go off and play. So the children will go off, and they've got people supervising them all day. They've got go-karts, bouncy castles, all sorts. And then the adults can stay in the main room and listen to the professionals talk for 10-15 minutes each about ear reconstruction, audiology, trying out some aftershocks headphones, this sort of thing. And we've got the hearing aid companies attend as well, so they can look at BAHAs, because some children have not been, given a BAHA. They're not, funding in different areas is different. So some children are not given it. So it gives them a chance to try it on and see what they're and told what they can apply for, what they can get on the NHS. It's lovely. I love doing it. I miss them. I miss the days of getting together.
I was going to say, I'm sure you miss having those opportunities where you actually meet face to face, right?
Yeah, and it's great that it's free. It's just going to cost them fuel. But I'm sure if there was a massive issue, we would help them it's just nice to get everyone together. And like I say, we did the West Midlands Safari Park, and that was lovely. I ran that one without the trustees. It was my first sort of on my own, and I was a bit nervous. And
I was going to say, how nerve-wracking was that?
Yeah, to sort of, I still feel not qualified to do that, but it was fine. And we had the mascot, with the elephant costume, dressed up for the kids, and we gave them free hats and stuff to wear, so you could identify people in the park. Like Orange Hat. That's one of the families. Go talk to them. So we all got together, and then everyone went around the safari park and went on the ride, saw the animals. It was fab. So yeah, it's great to be able to do them things and support people.
And have you guys got anything planned for if everything does kind of open up in the next couple of months? Are you guys trying to plan something for this year?
Nothing's been said as of yet. That's it. I think we're still just waiting out, because it's usually June, the London event. I don't know whether we'll wait till next June, or we might try and get something squeezed in at the back end of this year. That's something I do need to discuss with the trustees and see what they fancy. Or even if it's online, it's better than nothing, isn't it? So we'll see. But yeah, I think now things are developing, because we support even small like mingles. So if there was a parent that said, I don't know, is there anyone in the south of England that's available, and then we'd put it out there and try and get other families to see if they're free, want to do a little meet up, and then if there's enough of them, we'll pay for that for them to go to an adventure day or something, and for them to get together without our input, so they can just have a nice time together. So hopefully things like that might hopefully start. So just keep hoping.
Fingers crossed, though. Fingers crossed. And like I was just going to say before, like one of the main, as much as Tina is saying that these activities are given for free, they're only able to do that based on the donations made to the charity and the funding that they have available to them. So it is so important that we share this message, we spread the awareness, and if you can support and donate, then I'm going to get Tina to put the links to their social space and the website into the comments section so you can access them directly. But the only way that they are able to continue to support sending out material, organizing dates and events and fundraisers is with our support and donations. So please, it is just as important as hearing about it. It is just as important to support the cause. So
thank you. Yeah, it is. That's the thing. It's without them fundraisers, we wouldn't be able to continue. It's like I said, because we're such a small charity, it is hard, and we do apply for the grants. We've just had a grant. We're developing a new children's book aimed for 8 to 14-year-olds, so they've got something to read. It's a bit like a sort of a David Walliams type comedy, funny, with different conditions, thrown in there, but it's not the main part of the story. The main thing is that they're superheroes and they save the day, and that's the thing that we focus on. And then we've just got another grant to develop a school booklet. So that's just starting now. So that's going to be a fab resource for families and schools and to give them. So that's what we just got to keep doing, is keep people, helping us to grow and keep going.
Well, it's fantastic that you've got some support there already in the grant phase, and I'm sure that you've got plenty of ideas up your sleeve as well. You said you're a very busy person, and I'm sure people like Kunal will keep you on your toes as well with suggestions and ideas, right?
Yes.
Always there for the charity whenever. Yeah, I'd always be there. I hope Tina knows I'll always try and do whatever I can. So yeah.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah, we've got some lovely people, that do. They, come to us and say, if you need anything, if you need any help or, any volunteering roles, let me know. And that's amazing that, people like yourself offer that service, because it comes in handy, when we've got so much going on, it does come in. So that's lovely.
For sure. One thing I'd like to ask you, Tina, is if you could just let everyone know where they could find you socially and the website. Verbally?
Yes. I can't seem to comment in the comments. I was going to pop it in there. So, but yeah, it's Microtia UK. So if they type that in to Google, you can find our Facebook. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We have a few videos on YouTube that they can have a look at. And Twitter. That's the other one. So we're on all of them. So we did that initially. We was actually only on Twitter and Facebook, and then when I came about, I set up the YouTube and Instagram just to try and reach more people, because some people are only on certain platforms, aren't they, nowadays? So it's trying to reach people. There we go. That's them. So yeah. So if people want to find us, have a look. You know, we've got lovely stories on the website from families that have shared their stories, or adults with Microtia that have shared what they've got up to, that nothing's held them back. They're now police officers, teachers, all sorts. So it's a lovely, positive website that it's got lots of information on there. So if anyone with Microtia, you know, isn't sure where to go, that's a really good point of contact is on there with all the resources.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Bob, have you any other questions?
No, thank you guys very much for all the information you've shared. You know, it's an eye opener for someone like myself and Jay, who, you know, before the last couple of weeks didn't really know much about it. You know, been on the website, actually very good information, very useful, and you know, we can put the word out there and get the donations in so you guys can carry on the good work. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I definitely second that. And one thing that I'd like to say as well is that I appreciate your brutal honesty and, you know, sharing your stories with us and letting us into your world. You know, it's not always easy to talk about, and for you guys to come up and champion it as well. We really appreciate the time and effort that you've put in. Especially that it's coming up to bedtime for some of the kiddies, and we're all trying to get away to make sure we can tuck them in.
I thought you were about to say bedtime.
I just let my husband do it.
Do you? Yeah, I'm sure my wife would be saying the same thing. I'll wait till he's finished and he can do it tonight.
I'll just stay a bit longer. It's fine.
What you do is just start FaceTiming someone else once we're done, right?
Yeah, I'll pretend I'm still on. He'll be watching.
Give the game away. No, but again, thank you very much for sharing this time with us and also supporting this episode during Deaf Awareness Week as well. Before we do sign off, I have got one question finally for each of you, and it's, if you've one tip for a new parent, what would it be?
Mine would be, go on.
Go on, Tina. You can go
I was just going to get Tina to leave.
Is this just any new parent or a new parent with a condition? Any new parent. Yep. Just to not worry. Everything works itself out, and to, you know, listen to your child. That's, you know, no matter what, whether they've got any condition or not, I think listening to your child and promoting what they want to do in life will get you very far.
And Kunal?
I'm just going to say, just don't Google everything. Some things just need to be instinct. Do what comes naturally, whether it be right or wrong. You're going to do that as a parent. Look, we're going to make, you two will most probably know, you're going to make 100 mistakes, but you're going to get 100 of them right as well. But you're never, ever going to be, we're not perfect. And that's why I say, don't Google everything. It does not matter what Google says. That's all I'm going to say. Google does my head in. It's got too much information. And 90% of it is absolutely, rubbish.
Yep, we know where you're going. So, Mr. B,
Jay,
any last questions?
No, just again, look, thank you guys for all that you shared. And yeah, we'll hope to hear about the fundraisers that do come up, so we can share it on this platform and get the word out there for you guys.
I'm doing one on Saturday, actually.
Yeah, send over the link.
I'll send you the thing. I'm doing an inflatable run on Saturday, so I haven't been training that much, so God help me for for that. But 5K inflatable run with Charlie's doing it, and some of the family. So yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, good luck.
Bob and I have to get a bit more in shape before we can commit to that, but maybe next year we can sign up.
I was going to say, count me.
So
I'll have to walk
running. Walking maybe. I'll be all right with that.
So, as I know you boys want to wrap up as well, I know Sia's going to bedtime soon as well. I just want to say I'm grateful that you've given, especially Jack, I'm fortunate enough that you're in business with my brother-in-law now. It's just how things fall into place in life. It was nice to talk to you, and we wasn't even talking about this. We was talking about you trying to help me out with the video for their civil, and it ended up me about this and how, like I said, it's grateful that I'm able to. You being,
I think we're losing you, Kunal.
Yeah, it's gone off a little bit. My end.
All the nice things he was trying to say about you as well.
I know, man.
Now it's frozen.
Perfect timing.
Oh, he's back.
There he
He's
is.
back. He's back.
I'm back. Sorry. Yeah.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Sorry, like I was saying, to be grateful, you know, me and Jack were just talking about something else, and we started talking about Sia and Microtia, and how ironic, you know, it kind of fell in on the right week. And I'm glad Tina kind of, with my hurried messages, like, Tina, you able to, I knew Tina would do it. You're just trying to hurried messages, you able to help me? And I'm grateful for Tina coming on as well, because she's obviously had a longer journey than I have. Mine's a 3-year span, and Tina's is a 10-year span. So it's nice for her to further push, and having both of us the platform to talk about Microtia. So no, really appreciate it, guys. Thanks to both of you, especially from me. And like I said, grateful to both of you.
Thank you for us as well. Thank you. It's been lovely just to be able to, you know, talk about it, get the charity heard about as well. So thank you for having us and letting us discuss things as well. That's been fab. And I had a little listen before I came on as well while I was just prepping, and the things you're talking about, you know, pregnancies and miscarriages, and you know, it's fab that you're able to talk about that, especially as dads. You know, it's lovely that more people should be talking about these sort of issues and feelings, and you know, and say it's okay. So thank you for giving the platform and the things that you do on this. It's amazing. So I will be following from now on.
Thank you.
That's great to hear. And I think on that note, anyone that's still viewing, anyone that watches us on playback, if you have got a topic and a subject that you'd like to share and talk about, get in touch with us, reach us in our DMs, and we will reach out to you as soon as we can. But on that note, I will say thank you very much to everyone. This evening has been an eye-opening experience. We've had a great conversation, and I thank everyone dearly for following us this evening. And on that note, I'm Jay at HinduDad. That's been Bav. We've got Tina, almost did it, and Kunal. But thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.